All right, massive news in the world of mixed martial arts. Nate Diaz finally has his final fight. The fight is booked. The match is made, and it's against Khamzat Chimaev, one of the scariest guys in the UFC right now. A guy that is on an absolute roll, undefeated, and last time out against Gilbert Burns got pushed to the absolute limit. But that was great for Khamzat because we got to see that he actually had some heart. Now, the deal with Nate Diaz, we all know, listen, he wants to leave the UFC. He had a long time with the company, he made a lot of money, he had a lot of fights, put on some memorable fights. I mean, look at that one against Conor McGregor. Came in UFC 196, I believe. Last minute replacement, nobody gave him a chance. I thought Conor was going to smoke him, but you can never count Nate Diaz out in a fight. Last time out against Leon Edwards, again, wasn't a good night at the office for Nate Diaz, but in round 5, he caught him with a right hand or a left hand, whichever it was, and I had Leon wobbling all over the place. Now, that's the thing about Nate Diaz. He's got a tremendous amount of heart. We know he's got great jiu-jitsu, good cardio and all the rest of it, and he's got an attitude that people certainly resonate towards. He's a big star, and he gets paid very, very well, very handsomely. The reality is, Nate Diaz likes to whinge, he likes to complain, he likes to bitch about the UFC. One thing you never hear Diaz bitch about is his money. Right? Ever since he fought Conor McGregor, I think he renegotiated. He's on a fat payday every time he fights. Okay, the guy does very, very well financially. He's been wanting to leave the UFC. He's been talking shit. He was pissing on the PI. No doubt pissing off Dana White as well, I'm sure. He said recently the only people that interest him are Francis Ngannou and Israel Adesanya. And you know, we saw Dana's reaction. He was like, you know, what do you say to that? You know, but anyway, that's all out the window because he's fighting Khamzat Chimaev. Main event, pay-per-view, massive fight. Probably, I mean, outside of the Conor McGregor fights, the biggest fight of his career, and outside of another Conor McGregor fight, it's probably the biggest fight that Nate Diaz could have right now. Now, I know he wants to leave the UFC. Rumor is he wants to go and box Jake Paul, but then what? What does he do after that? You know what I mean? Believe it or not, the UFC is probably the best place to make money. What's he going to go do? Take over the world of boxing? I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, so I'm looking at some websites here and I'm seeing some of the reports and I just don't understand. Diaz gets paid a lot of money. So therefore, when you get paid a lot of money, they want a big fight. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes. You pay someone because you put them up against a good opponent and a lot of people buy the pay-per-view. I'm looking here on MMA Junkie. Danny Segura, not a fan of this fight. Matthew Wells, a nonsensical matchup, but also worth it. And then Simon Samano leaves a bad taste, but imagine if he wins. Well, answer me this, all three of you. Why the fuck is it a nonsensical matchup? And then he goes down here and he's talking about, Donald Cerrone on his final few fights. Where was it? Bear with me. How does this happen? Donald Cerrone was matched up against peers such as Joe Lauzon and Jim Miller at the tail end of his career. Why is Diaz being treated differently? Well, because Donald Cerrone was at the end of his career. He'd lost so many fights and he was retiring, and we knew that. Nate Diaz is going head to head with the UFC all the time. Nate Diaz is talking shit, and Nate Diaz isn't retiring. Nate Diaz is leaving the promotion and going somewhere else. He gets paid a shit ton of money to do so. So you put him up against someone hard, someone tough, someone that's going to challenge him. And yeah, listen, I'll say it right now, someone that's probably going to beat him. Yes, Diaz could pull off an upset. Yes, Diaz could land the right hand and hurt him and wobble him. Chimaev is only human, right? Gilbert Burns pushed him to the absolute limit. Maybe Diaz catches him in a submission. Maybe. Probably not. But so fucking what? If when you get paid a fortune, when you talk shit, why is it so out of the ordinary to match him up against Khamzat Chimaev? Khamzat Chimaev has to fight somebody. He fought Gerald Meerschaert, was that crazy? He fought, who did he fight before that? Fucking, the guy from Reese McKee. The Welsh dude. Was that crazy? No, it wasn't, okay? It's a logical matchup. They're going to give him a massive platform, right? Pay-per-view, main event, final fight, and if he can pull it off, then Jesus Christ, he will forever be a legend. Now, I know he has a lot of crazy, wild, passionate fans. The Diaz brothers have kind of a cult-like status in mixed martial arts, and I love what they bring to the table. I love their don't give a fuck attitude. I love their fight style. They always bring it. They're mean motherfuckers. Not only in the street, not only in their interviews, but more so in the cage. They push the pace. They're not cowards. They're not bitches. They are real fighters, you know. So Diaz has to be respected. There's a reason why people like John Anik has a fucking 209 tattoo on his arm or his body or wherever the hell it is. But still, let's talk about the matchup. How does Nate Diaz win this? I don't see a way that he can. I think on the feet, I think Khamzat's probably better. He's definitely bigger. He's definitely stronger. He's definitely got better wrestling. And we have seen Diaz struggle with those type of people that are really, really strong wrestlers. At 170, he's kind of struggled. I mean, yeah, as I say, he's always there every single time. He always brings it. But if you look at his record here, uno momento, por favor. Correct, I speak Spanish now. Last time out, Leon Edwards. Then it was Jorge Masvidal, doctor stoppage. Beat Anthony Pettis before that. That was a great win. And then before that, lost to Conor McGregor. So since 2016, he hasn't been very active, you know, and he could have made a ton more money if he was fighting. Of course, he didn't want to re-sign with the UFC. That's still something I don't quite understand. Yes, Jake Paul has it in his mind that him and Nate Diaz are going to do millions of pay-per-view buys. And I think that probably would do some big numbers. But Jake Paul's been struggling. Jake Paul has not been bringing in the kind of numbers. I mean, Jake Paul did that video recently talking shit to Conor McGregor, right? McGregor smashes it out the fucking park. Every time he does a pay-per-view, it's massive numbers. Jake Paul was bragging on that video that one of his, the one with Tyron Woodley got 200,000 pay-per-view buys, which isn't bad. But you don't make any money on a 200,000 pay-per-view buy if you're in the UFC. The benchmark, the threshold to start earning money, it has to go over 200,000 buys. So at that point, Jake Paul was in the UFC, he wouldn't be making any fucking money. So Diaz is going to leave. Hey, I wish him all the best. I do. I've loved watching him in the octagon. If it sounds like right now I'm being very anti-Diaz, I'm not. I love him and Nick. I know Nick a little bit. I don't really know Nate. Said hi a few times. They're real fighters, and I always want fighters to get paid the most amount of money that they can. But, you know, if you talk that amount of shit, then you're going to get matched up against someone big. Diaz is a star. They're going to give him Khamzat Chimaev. Other than a submission, other than catching a submission, I really don't see a way in which Nate Diaz can win this. But you know what? The fact that he's taking the fight, the fact that he's going to try, the fact that he's definitely going to show up and try and win the fight, that's why people love Nate Diaz. Do you know what I mean? He's going to go into this one a ridiculous underdog, you know? But again, that's why they love him. Because it's like, you know, if you see somebody standing up to the bullies or whatnot, you know, it's always admirable. It's always great to see. Nate Diaz coming into this one against Khamzat Chimaev, a guy that pretty much no one wants to fight at this point. Nate Diaz is willing to take it. But is it just because simply that's the only fight? I don't know. But either way, massive, massive news. Nate Diaz, Khamzat Chimaev, final fight of Nate Diaz's contract. There it is. It is set in stone. It is done. I can't wait for it. And I'll tell you what, if the fight doesn't deliver, which I know it will, the lead up to it will be fantastic. The press conferences will be awesome. We'll have cans of Monster thrown all over the place. People getting slapped in the face. Me throwing laptops all over the show. And maybe Nate Diaz pissing all over the Performance Institute one last time. Anyway, hope you're all well. Do me a favour, subscribe and ring the bell. And yeah, I'm here in my hotel room. UFC London this weekend. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. John Brannigan behind the camera. The guy that does my thumbnails and helps with the channel lives in Scotland, so he's here filming some content for us. Yeah, we're having a great week. Fight week, baby. Let's go. Hope you're well. Take care.